Hello, everybody, and welcome to Fortress Comic News, episode 320. I'm one of your hosts, Chris, alongside my co-host here, Mike. What's going on, Mike?
Hey, nothing, man. Just another day in the life. I know you had an exciting weekend, so
Yeah,
let's
a lot of
chat about
driving this
that.
weekend.
Yeah, a lot of driving, but some excitement there. Got a very special guest, first-time guest on the show after a lot of returning guests. So we have Oscar Osario on the show. Going to talk about his Zoop book coming up, and yeah. So let's hear about your endeavor this weekend. You went down to Jersey, right?
You had a Jersey.
Yeah.
Yeah, I drove down Friday. Hotel I booked fucked up the reservation, so that was a
Oh
fun
boy.
night.
Jeez.
But got that figured out, and even though I spent more money and I wanted to at a hotel, I still found a hotel and was able to stay.
Mm-hmm. That's good. That sucks. They messed it up.
Yeah, but shit happens.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I spent Friday night and then Saturday just spent the day. Went to Wawa for lunch because you're in Jersey, Philly. You got to go to Wawa.
Yep. There you go.
Went to the Secret Stash for the day. Picked up a few things, shirt, um, a couple knickknacks, and
Mm-hmm.
signed copy of Quick Stops #1 with a Mike Allred cover.
Awesome. Very cool cover.
Yeah, so cool to have that. And then went to Tell 'em Steve Dave Studios, which is another podcast that's kind of spun out of Kevin Smith's stuff with the guys who are in Comic Book Men, and then one of the guys in Impractical Jokers. Of course, they were doing the show before any of these were TV shows.
Mm-hmm.
So went there, saw where they recorded. One of the guys that's on the show, like a character on the show, was there and everything. So got to sit and chat with him and buy a few things. So that was awesome.
Cool, man.
And then the afternoon was the live Hollywood Babylon at Smog Castle.
That's awesome.
And yeah, if you listen to that show, he read my email. He makes fun of me a little bit. We have a good time with it. It was all hilarious. And yeah, it was an awesome show. I like the theater he's got there.
Mm-hmm.
And I would definitely go back for another thing down the line.
Yeah, I'd love to see Fat Man live, so maybe we'll do that. That'd be cool.
Yeah, he says he's doing Fat Man soon. I mean, I think it'd be cool to go down for the Clerks cartoon marathon
Mm-hmm.
they're doing,
Yeah.
but I think that's the same weekend as Nickel City Comic Con, so I think I'm otherwise engaged.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, it was like a 5.5-ish hour drive from where I
Yeah.
am.
That's quite a hike.
Yeah, it's a bit, but it's not terrible.
Yeah. Right.
And my only complaint the whole thing is it's in Atlantic Highlands, New Jersey, which is like literally you jump over the river, you're in the city. And you can tell like that city attitude
Oh yeah.
is there.
Yeah. Yeah. For sure.
I think I was going the speed limit the whole time. Maybe like, how I mean, there's no cops listening, but like everybody
Yeah.
goes 5 over the limit. Like
Hey,
that's
I've
kind
been
of a
told
known
by police
thing.
officers that you're good like 7 or 8 over the limit, and you won't get pulled over. So
Okay, so I was going like the speed limit 5 over that range, and people were on my ass and going around me and all
yeah,
this shit.
the Jersey Turnpike is no joke, dude.
Yeah,
That
and
is like a
this
lawless
is
road.
even in like town, like
Yeah,
just in the towns.
that's crazy.
And then so I stayed in Hazlitt, New Jersey, which I found out this whole area reminds me of, Mike, you're the only one that's going to get this, but it reminds me of where I am in Rochester,
Mm-hmm.
where, I mean, I'm outside of Rochester, but if you've been in Rochester, New York, it's like Rochester's this central city, and there's a bunch of little like town cities around it.
Yeah,
And that's what's reminding me of like Atlantic Highlands was like the center, or like the biggest part of it, I should say. And then like Red Bank was kind of a part of it, but different. And then Hazlitt was a part of it, and then all these different towns that you could all call one city. And the weirdest thing here, traffic talk, everybody on this comic book podcast.
At least everybody can relate.
The weirdest thing about it was on the main roads, you do not turn left.
Mm-hmm.
you turn right
To
into
go left.
basically a roundabout turnaround thing
Yeah.
to turn left. It was the weirdest fucking thing, but
Yep.
I managed to make my way around.
That's
I'm
like
a
the Boston.
professional driver,
That's
man.
like the Boston way of turning left. You take an exit on the right to go left.
It's the weirdest shit.
Yeah. It's poor design.
And it all reminds me, whenever I do these trips, which I don't do often,
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to do more recently, which
Yeah.
I'm finding out is really good to like go do something
Uh-huh.
and kind of re-energize yourself from your normal life
Yeah.
and get out of your shell. But it's reminding me that I'm not a city person.
Yeah.
Like I
Yeah.
like my country life. I
Yeah.
like to be kind
It
of out.
it takes me like a couple hours in New York City to realize I do not belong there.
I won't even drive to New York. I remember one
Yeah.
time we drove to New York City, and the guys I was with insisted we drive into the city.
Oh, terrible idea.
And I was like, well, I'm not driving, so I'll just sit back here and laugh while you guys are mad
Yeah.
and pay a shitload of money to park your car. Every time I've gone to New York City, you park in Jersey and you take the ferry over.
Mm-hmm.
And it's
Yeah.
cheaper to park in Jersey
Oh,
for
for
like the
sure.
weekend.
Yeah. Yep.
So, but
I just
yeah.
avoid it altogether. But that's cool, man. Glad you got to see and meet Kevin Smith finally.
Yeah, I got to see and meet Kevin Smith. Got to give him a giant bear hug and crack a few jokes with him. And he's everything you've heard about Kev is true. Like
Yeah.
the dude sat there, gave everyone a hug. You know, whenever you tried to thank him, he was like, no, thank you for supporting me and all that shit. And so everything you've heard is true. He's an amazing guy.
That's great, man. So cool. All right, I guess we'll just dive into the show. Yeah, Ted Lasso had a season 3 finale. You just binged it and now it's gone. Sorry, man.
I picked the right time though,
Yeah, you
right?
picked the right time. And I'll say this: like the show itself is uh, I do say it's like a warm blanket, right? It's a very comforting show. And it ends, I think, on like a bittersweet end. It sucks that it ended. Like, all good things must come to an end, but I was okay with the ending where they ended it, and that, it is what it is. But
So you watched it.
yeah, I watched it. Did you watch
Okay.
it?
Yeah, the last episode, the whole series is phenomenal. Like everybody go watch it.
Yeah.
I think two things I took from the ending were one, it was a great ending. Like spoilers, everybody. But when they show Sam and the Nigerian team,
Yeah, that was awesome.
I almost cried. I was like,
Yeah, there was a
fuck
lot of
yeah.
like tear jerking moments there.
And that whole montage was great. I think although Ted's story is over,
Yeah.
I would not mind, and I believe this will happen, that a spinoff will happen.
Yeah, you almost think it's gonna happen. I wouldn't mind it either. I just hope it doesn't like take away from how good Ted Lasso was. You know what I mean? Like, don't ruin that.
I think because there's two ideas floating around. One they tease, which was the female football
Yeah,
team,
which I
which
thought was
fine.
cool. That was cool. Yeah.
Yeah, it probably won't get me in because not because it's like, oh, it's a female, but no, that's not my issue with it. My thing is, if you're gonna do a spinoff, you're gonna continue the story. Like, just do the show without Ted,
Right.
because even though I love Ted the character and I think his story is important, I think if you continue with it with Roy and Beard and all them, and then the
Mhm.
team,
Yeah.
and show their growth and what they learned from Ted, like in the future, I think that's a cool point to take it to.
Yeah, and then you leave it open like season finale of like if they did another season, Ted shows up and he comes back, and then they're like, "Oh my god!"
Yeah,
Yeah, but
yeah. You do this is a terrible comparison because the last season of Scrubs sucked. We do the
yeah,
Scrubs thing where like he shows up for an episode or two, and then
yeah.
you're like, bye bye.
Goodbye. Yeah, yeah.
But I think it
Right.
could be good because like Roy's growth throughout the show is amazing.
Mm-hmm. Leroy's like
I
the best character.
Yeah, I like where Beard ends up. I forget the Indian dude's name. The other coach, but
Mm-hmm.
like I like his arc,
Yeah,
and I think even though he does get closure in his arc, to see him continue that would be cool. And then just like the players, like there's so many great players on that team and actors in the show that I would like to see them continue as well. Like Jamie and a bunch of
Yeah,
others.
yeah.
So
There's a lot of characters you end up loving.
I I think there's a future for those characters, and I
Yeah,
hope I hope they do more.
yeah.
Yeah,
I wouldn't be disappointed either way if they did more, if they didn't. But overall, fantastic show.
I think it's a win-win because if they do more, we
Yeah,
can all say, well, Ted Lasso ended. It was 3 great seasons,
right. That's
done.
true. Yeah, yeah. You
And
can.
then this could be whatever,
Mm-hmm.
the Richmond way.
Mm-hmm. There
You
you
know,
go. Nice. Damn.
but yeah,
There it is. The Richmond way. Wow. Roll
yeah,
credits.
hands down, this will be at the end of the year when we're talking top 10. This will be there, or top 5. This will be
Yeah,
there.
such a good show.
Yeah.
Movie stuff. According to Across the Spider-Verse producer Amy Pascal, there's a live-action Miles Morales movie in the works at Sony. Interesting. Uh, Interesting they're doing a Miles movie. Interesting that Sony is in charge. Um, do they
I
have the
mean,
best track record for their comic book property movies?
they did make Morbius, so
It's morbid time. I will say that like out of all the movies they've done, I don't think anyone has held as much weight as a Miles Morales movie. I mean, maybe Venom. Maybe people could argue probably Venom is probably bigger than Miles, but I'm not sure.
I think Venom's hands down bigger, but I I guess you could argue it.
I feel like there's a lot more riding on this if they get it wrong than Venom, because Venom they got wrong. Like the second movie was garbage, right? That's what I've
Still
heard.
have not watched it, so I
Yeah,
can't. I
I haven't
can't.
watched it either, but that's what I've heard. But I feel like I don't know. There's a lot of people out there that love like Miles Morales is their Spider-Man.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
love Miles too. Like
yeah,
one of my favorite. I'm not even a Spider-Man guy, and I love Miles. So
hmm
I think first of all, this news is duh.
yeah, right. Yeah, come on.
I mean, Miles is huge right now. We're about to talk about it, but he's already started his own video game. He's about to be in the sequel to the Spider-Man video game. From everything I've heard, I have not. Obviously, I was out of town for the weekend, so I was not able to see Across the Spider-Verse. But from everything I heard, that movie is phenomenal and is doing really well. And that's a Miles Morales movie. It's the character's huge, so of course they're gonna do it. And yeah, Sony owns the rights to it. Would I have rather been an MCU thing? Yes, 100%. But what could be interesting here is if that's the Spider-Man that exists in the Sony universe. So that's the Spider-Man that Venom fights,
Oh yeah, that would be cool. Yeah,
and I mean they could always crossover with it later. So yeah, you're right. Do they have the best record? No, but I can hold out hope, I guess, that they do this one right.
yeah. I still haven't seen Morbius either.
I mean, listen, all they got to do for it to be better than Morbius and I mean, the first Venom I enjoy. It's
Yeah,
fun.
first Venom was fun.
But even the second Venom has this issue from what I've seen. All they have to do is not make Miles fight a Spider-Man.
Right.
Because that's what every Sony movie's been is Venom fights Venom, Morbius
Right.
fights Morbius.
Yep.
I'm sure Craven, they're going to find a way to make Craven fight Craven.
Craven fights another Craven.
Like,
Yeah.
just don't have Miles fight Miles, and
And we'll be
you've
okay.
already done better than your other movies.
Yep. Agreed.
So
we'll wait and see. We do have video game news this week, which is nice. Don't see a lot of that. I saw this hit the internet last week. During PlayStation's recent live stream, they announced a bunch of new games coming up. Most importantly, they showed a new trailer and gameplay from their upcoming Spider-Man 2 video game that featured Peter Parker with his famous black suit and the introduction of Kraven. So that's pretty hype.
yeah, and Lizard is also in the game.
Oh, nice.
But so I watched this whole presentation. I thought it was meh, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
But the Spider-Man stuff
But the Spider-Man stuff was great.
was phenomenal.
Yeah.
It looks. I mean, did you play the first game?
Yeah, I haven't finished it. I'm probably like over halfway through it. I just put it down to play some other stuff.
So it's. I mean, it looks just like that, just bigger, and they showed a huge set piece moment. Craven's going to be the big villain.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure
Which
at
I
some
think is
point.
cool.
Yeah, like Craven's an underused villain in like multimedia Spider-Man.
Yeah.
So I'm down for him to be a part of it. And I love that first game, so this looks like more of that with some added features on it, a bigger map, all that crap. So I'll be there, and it's coming out around my birthday. I mean, it says fall, but
Right.
everybody's predicting end of September, which is around my birthday. So
Oh, there you go.
yeah, be fun.
Awesome. Yeah, I do have it. The trailer reminded me. Oh shit, I got to finish Spider-Man. I did really like it. Swinging around the city is a lot of fun. So is doing tricks.
Yeah, and the Miles game was fun too.
Oh
So
yeah, I didn't
if
play
you
that one.
enjoy it,
Yeah.
Miles is kind of more of the same. The Miles game is based an expansion to that.
Okay.
Like it's the
Interesting.
same map and everything. So,
You
but
just
yeah,
have a different Spider-Man.
yeah. I mean, it tells its own story and everything.
Yeah, that's cool. All right, comic book news, Chris.
Yeah, comics.
Recently, we discussed the news that Lansing Kelly running Captain America was coming to an end, and this week Marvel announced who will be taking over, alongside a new number one. Surprise, surprise. J. Michael Straczynski, wow, alongside artist Jesus Saiz, will take over ongoing Steve Rogers Captain America. Interesting. Straczynski's on the book. Yeah, that's pretty cool, man.
Yeah,
Are you not a Straczynski fan?
I'm not a Straczynski guy.
You never read Rising Stars? It's a good, great series.
So I never have, so I'm not
Okay.
going to judge that one.
Yeah.
I'll just say every time I've tried a Straczynski book, I drop off. I tried some of the stuff because I remember everybody telling me how great Straczynski is, and I tried his Thor. But I mean, I'm not a Spider-Man guy, so I didn't read his Spider-Man.
Right.
Put that aside. I tried his Thor back in the day, didn't do it for me. I tried some of the stuff he did at AWA recently, never really did it for me. And a few other things here and there. He had a cool story in that Thanos one shot, but it's a one shot. I'm obviously going to check it out. It's Captain America, but
Did you ever
we'll
read
see.
the Superman year one?
That he did?
Yeah, I think he did the Superman because they had Grant Morrison did Wonder Woman, uh, Jeff Johns did Batman, Teen Titans. I cannot remember who the Teen
Oh,
Titans were.
Earth one.
Earth one. I'm sorry, not year one. Earth
I
one.
have not read that yet. Even though I own the whole series, I have not read it.
Yeah, it's good. That was like the two things were Rising Stars and that for me with J. Michael Straczynski. But like you though, not a whole lot of exposure. So I'd be interested to see how you like this.
Yeah, it's funny because a few people have reached out to me about it, like all excited, and then I just like I bring them down because I'm like I'm not really a Straczynski guy, so
Yeah,
I don't have the same hype I had for when Lansing Kelly took over, for instance.
yeah, we know we love those guys, so
Yeah,
they're a little more prevalent in today.
I will say they're like the story is going to combine like modern elements with something from Steve pre Super Soldier Serum, and like do some stuff with his history, which I find interesting. I always say my favorite Captain America is World War II Captain America. Like those stories are always the most interesting, probably because they're the simplest. But I do like kind of that's the route he's taking is like let's dive into his past a little bit more. That time when his mother had passed and he joins the army, like that zone that we don't talk about a lot. So that'll
Yeah,
be interesting.
yeah, for sure.
Right.
You're reading it either way, so
Yeah, I mean, I'm picking it up either
he's
way.
gonna pick it. Let's figure. Marvel announced that the Superior Spider-Man series will be returning this fall with Dan Slott writing. No artist announced yet, and no details on the story. So Dan Slott coming back with Superior Spider-Man.
Did you ever read Superior Spider-Man?
No,
Yeah,
I
me
read
neither.
I read some of Superior Foes stuff. That was good.
I hear it's great. That's one of the few Spider-Man things I'd like to check out. But what I find hilarious is that Dan Slott did FF, and it kind of seemed like it was a fart in the wind.
Right.
And then he's just like, "Well, let's go back to Spider-Man." And then like a year later, it's let's do Superior Spider-Man again.
Yeah. Right.
I mean, no offense to Dan, but I mean, it seems like he had a hit, and
Yeah.
now he's just going back to the
He's just gonna
classics.
go back to it. Marvel announced that issue 25 of Moon Knight will be the beginning of the end for Jed McKay's run on the character. So it's probably going to end at issue 30, I would guess, but going to be the final storyline.
I think so, because they said issue 1 of that, was it City of the Dead, that David Posey's doing, is the same month as issue 25, and that book is going to lead into this Night's End story arc, which is hilariously also a Batman story arc. And then they'll end together, which makes me think that like they're obviously tied in somehow, and then they come to an end.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe Pose is taking over. They're setting it up together for him to kind of take over. I don't know. I mean, I have no inside info on that, but it sucks. I like McKay's run. It's been fun. But if I get 30 issues of a good Moon Knight run, I'm not going to complain. You know.
Yeah, if you're a Moon Knight fan, it's good stuff either way, right? 30 issues in a run is a pretty solid number.
Yeah, and we gotten some good runs recently. So as a Moon Knight fan, I'm just like, I've had some pretty good runs, and that's not really a marquee character. So to have like the Lemire run recently, and then this and a few others, it's pretty good. Hopefully we get more, but we will see. We will see. Worst comes to worst, when season 2 comes out, I'll get another Moon Knight.
Yep. Marvel's manga line added a new series with creators of My Hero Academia Vigilante series. The book will be called Spider-Man Octopus Girl, and created by Hideyuki Furuhashi and Betancourt. So don't know who Octopus Girl is, but that is very, very manga-esque. So, yeah.
Yeah, did we have to go hentai so quick?
Yeah, I know. Did we have to get the tentacles involved so quickly? Is Octopus Girl do you know this is a recurring character?
Not that I'm aware of.
Spider-Man? Okay. Maybe they're just creating her for the manga crowd.
I think there's gender swapping Doc Ock.
Oh, I didn't even think about that. Yeah.
That's what I would assume.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
I hear so My Hero Academia is one of those series that is on my like manga list to check
it's good.
out. Mm-hmm. And then it spins off into like 2 or 3 books.
Okay.
And this Vigilantes book is one of them, which from what I know, which is very little, everybody, so don't take my word on it, it's a Batman-esque book.
Oh, cool.
So and I've seen the art. I mean, the art's really good, like most manga. And hopefully this team does well with it.
Yeah, I tried to watch the My Hero Academia anime, and the main character just cries a lot. And after a while, I'm just like, stop crying, man. Just just fight the guys.
I realized recently that like I just prefer manga.
Yeah, I think manga is just better for me too.
Because like I grew up on Dragon Ball Z, so I love Dragon Ball Z, and there's some animes I really like. But the stuff that I love was like the Studio Ghibli stuff, which while it's anime, it doesn't fit in the anime tropes. Like,
right.
Yeah, so I was gonna watch that. There's also a Dragon Quest anime that they did, and then I found out that was based on a Dragon Quest manga. So I was like, oh, I can just read the manga instead.
Read the manga. There you go.
Yeah, so
awesome.
That's why I kind of dropped off anime.
DC fans prepare for the biggest tease to ever hit the comics world. In a recent interview, Jonathan Hickman said that he came close to working with DC before his X-Men run, and that the 2 books he was in talks with to be the helm for were Legion of Superheroes and New Gods. Hell yeah. Now that gets me hyped, because I'm a huge Legion of Superheroes, I'm a huge New Gods fan, and we know Jonathan Hickman loves to do that giant universe stuff, so that would be right up his alley.
Why would they get you hyped if that was almost happened, but is not going to happen?
Yeah, is he gonna tease that, like, hey, I think, is it more of a shot at DC, like, this is what you could have had, guys?
Yeah, this was so the way if you listen to the interview, the way he's talking is just like, listen, there was a moment where I wasn't under contract and Marvel wanted me back and DC wanted me. And I pitched to both of them. and Marvel just had the better offer. So
Yeah,
like he either would have done X-Men or he would have done this for DC, and he chose X-Men and then stuck with Marvel. Could one day he go back to DC and maybe do this?
that would be sick.
That'd be nice, because honestly, as a fan, I would rather. I mean, we'll see what he does. I mean, he's bringing back the Ultimate Universe, so
Right. I don't
that
think he'll be
trumps
coming back.
anything for
Yeah,
me.
I don't think he'll be coming back anytime soon.
But as a fan, if I was to choose between that X-Men run and a possible Legion/New Gods run,
Yeah,
fuck yeah, I want that.
yeah. Come on, let's go.
But we never got
And they
it. So
haven't they haven't touched the New Gods or Legion since. So
no, if you think that was around the time Bendis was wrapping up Legion,
yeah, right. And we
or
haven't heard
maybe
seen, or he got it. Maybe it makes more sense of like how he kind of like. I feel like Bendis like fumbled everything because he was doing a lot, and then it kind of like all fell through the cracks of what he was trying to do.
that was also like DC got Bendis, and if you remember the ads, I mean, you read digitally, so you don't get the
Yeah,
ads. But in the physical books, all the ads were like, Bendis is finally a DC. Like they were
yeah,
making a big deal about it.
yeah. Okay, I never saw those ads.
And it was a big deal because Bendis was a longtime Marvel writer and he was very popular. And it came around a time when stuff was making a switch. So he did his big Superman run, and he was going to take over Legion. There's rumors he's going to take over Batman at some point and all this stuff. And they just decided, nope, we're not doing these contracts anymore. And basically put everybody at a pay scale so that there's essentially no longer exclusive contracts. And that's why you started to see TV writers coming in and all that. So I think Bendis, as a person who's been in the industry so long, was just like, well, this is what I get paid. This is
Right,
all speculation, everybody.
right.
And when they said, well, we're not going to pay you this, we're going to pay you this, he's like, all right, well, I'll finish my Legion ship, but then I'm out.
Goodbye. Yeah.
And he did. And I mean, I wish he finished stronger because that Legion Justice League book was. Ugh.
What about that Gold Lantern though?
I still don't know what the Gold Lantern is.
Nobody knows. It's gonna show up one day in like a new Crisis event, even though they said they're done with Crisis events.
Please.
The crisis was that a Gold Lantern existed and nobody knew why.
Listen, I'm down for DC to be like, let's take a break on Crisis for like a decade or two.
Yeah, right.
But if anyone in their right mind believes that they're done with crises, go check into a hospital, because
Yeah,
I
go.
guarantee you in 5 years,
You're
within
crazy.
5 years, we get another crisis.
Oh hell yeah, for sure. With that, let's talk about what we read this week, Chris.
Comics.
I read a whole 2 issues. I finished the manga. I finished the Junji Ito hardcover Smashed, which is a bunch of short stories, very disturbing stuff. That was always good. They do these really nice like hardcover collected editions for the Junji Ito horror stuff for all his like one shots. It's really cool. Um, and then I read Vanish 7 that you talked about. Not a bad issue. Now he has to fight that like last hero, which is going to be epic, I'm sure. It was a pretty brutal fight with like the tech person that he was fighting.
Yeah, with the weird like octopus woman.
Yeah, it was wild. And then The Forge #3. This is the Rucka Trotman book with Henderson on the art. This is like the mech suit fighters. So I didn't realize like the people that pilot the mech suits, everybody like who worships the main Empress, they're all like clones of the Empress. So like even the people in the mech suits are all clones of her too. And they're still like stranded on a planet, and they're setting up to like fight these monsters that show up, and like these monsters like come from a pocket universe that they use to like travel like warp speed travel. So and they found out on this planet, the planet that they're on was like doing a lot of mining and dumping their waste into the pocket universe because they're like, oh, we don't care, like we'll just dump it all in there. So they think like these monstrosities have like mutated from all the shit they were dumping in this other like this pocket universe that they travel through. So like there's a scene of like all these like monsters like teleporting randomly like throughout the room and like they're fighting them off. So that was pretty cool. And then we like they get away and end up like teleporting through the like garbage chute pretty much, and they end up in the main empress's throne room. So now it's like, how did they get there? It's been a pretty solid first few issues. That's all I got to this week, though.
So you didn't get to Barbaric number 4?
No, I did not, even though it was my pick.
Great issue.
It's the last one, right?
Great issue. Last issue of the series, although it sets up kind of the one spinoff and then the next book. Because if you remember, this is the year of Barbaric, Mike.
Yeah.
I love the way it ends. There's a cool twist on what the next book is going to be and like how it pulls off of this one. A lot of great action scenes. Barbaric's just, I mean, if you haven't read Barbaric, what the fuck are you doing with your life?
Yeah.
Captain America Symbol of Truth number 13. I don't know. Sam's mad at Steve, so they fight. No, they're in Dimension Z, and Steve is like very one track mind. Like, we need to save Ian. And if anyone remembers the Dimension Z storyline, like Dimension Z time moves differently, so like years in there could be days in our time. So Steve's well aware that like Ian's probably been in there for much longer than anyone's aware of in his team. And so the two women in the team get hurt during one of the battles, and it's a moment to get Steve and Sam together. And Steve's just like, listen, they'll be fine. They're strong. They're capable. We need to go get Ian. So he turns and he's like, I'm going to go get it. And Sam's very much of the mind of, no, we need to do this as a team. So of course they fight because that's what they do in these events. And somehow Sam wins. I didn't like how that happened. Like, I'm sorry. I love Sam as Cap. I love Sam as Falcon. Steve's a super soldier. But and then it shows Bucky and Ian and the kind of throne room watching this whole thing, and then a big monster attack happens. So now it's just Sam, and he has to fight all these monsters, and hopefully everybody wakes up in time. Will they, Mike? Find out next month.
Find out next month.
I read Punisher number 12, which is the end of that Punisher run. And I'll say all in all, it's not a bad book. It just has things in it that I didn't mesh with. Like turning Frank's backstory into him always being a sociopath. And not letting that moment of his family being killed trigger the Punisher. They basically changed him so that even from being a child, he had always like wanted to kill, and he had this urge to kill and everything. And I didn't like it. But the modern day stuff of him being like the fist of the beast and in charge of the hand and all that was great. I like that he had this new mission and he went out and then he ends up completing the mission. And then the other kind of retcon was that because he was kind of a piece of shit and he treated his wife poorly, when the mob hits the family and it kills his wife and kids, his wife was like going to divorce him. And it's really cheesy because it's as the mob comes around, she's about to say like, I want a divorce. And it's like, I want to do it. And then gunfire and she dies. So they end this issue with like him being caught by the Avengers after he finishes his mission, and they all tell him that he's a shitty person. And then his wife tells him, like, this is what was going to happen back then. Now that I have all of my faculties back and I'm no longer strapped by the hand, I can tell you that it's not them that took you away from me. You took all this bullshit. It put too much thought into the Punisher, in my opinion. Like, I like the Punisher as just a mindless kind of action hero. And not even a hero, he's an anti-hero. And maybe I need to I read it last night, so I might need to mull it over more in my thoughts, but it was weird. It was really weird.
How weird? How so?
Weird in that it would be like trying to taking the movie Commando and trying to add this intricate backstory to completely change the motivation of Arnold and kind of make him the bad guy in the scenario.
I don't know about that. Arnold can never be the bad guy.
And listen, I'm not saying Punisher's a good guy. Like, Punisher is kind of he's a serial killer. Like, I understand that, but Punisher I think people put too much thought into Punisher, and that yes, he's a mass murderer, yes, he's a serial killer, yes, he's all these things, but at its heart, Punisher is just an action movie. It's me going to see Commando or whatever Arnold movie you want to pick. It's just mindless violence. I think the biggest problem with Punisher is that Punisher is a part of the Marvel universe, where Punisher should just be.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that makes sense.
It's not bad. I don't want to come off it because I've seen some bad actors really hating on this, and it's not a bad book. I didn't really enjoy the twist they put on his life to make him like a sociopath.
Interesting.
I always preferred to think of Punisher as he's a man who he was a Marine that went to war.
Right.
And as somebody who knows plenty of people who served in Iraq and Afghanistan, I know what that does. I have an idea of what that does to a person.
Yeah.
So for him to be a man who went to war and then came back and he's like, okay, I can just live a normal life. And then the mob kills his family and he loses everything and something triggers in him and he becomes this thing. It's just a simple action plot. That all said, it ends with Punisher. So the epilogue to the whole thing is Punisher in Weird World. And he's with this group of travelers trying to find something. So they didn't end Frank's story. It will continue in some way. And I like Weird World, so I'm interested to see where that goes. I don't know. I'm going to think more on that book, and maybe we can talk about it more later, because I think my thoughts are a little muddled.
Okay.
But I'll say all in all, good book, not a great book. I just think it's a good book with some bad parts to it.
Weird World might get good, though.
I do like me some Weird World. And if Jason Aaron does that, I could probably stick around for it.
Oh, hell yeah. Yeah, you could.
And then, Mike, I randomly picked this up the other day.
Okay. I'm excited.
It just hit me, and I had to pick it up. And I don't think you read it, and I think you should. And that's Peacemaker Tries Hard.
Oh my god! How did I not know this book came out?
This book came out a month ago, and it comes out again. I think this week is issue 2. Maybe it's next week.
That looks awesome,
dude. This is the sequel to the TV show. It's that.
Oh, are you serious?
That version of him, yeah.
Oh, I love that.
It starts off with him at a supermarket, and he's buying protein powder and instant cake mix.
Of course he is,
because he's going to throw a party for all of his friends. And then he gets called by Amanda Waller to do a mission, and then the Suicide Squad's there, and they're like, "Don't tell him we're here because we don't want to hang out with them." And he does this quick mission and all this, and then he goes home and meets a guy who's supposed to be his parole officer from Suicide Squad, and they have this whole conversation where he he asked him why he bought cake mix, and he's like, "Well, I'm throwing a party, so I like instant cake mix. I can just pour water in it and it makes a cake." The guy's like, "No, like you
That's
need like
not.
oil and a pan and all this."
Yeah, like that's not. That's awesome.
And when he does this mission, he meets this like stray dog and he
Uh-huh.
adopts it,
Oh, that's awesome.
and it's literally just a moment. And names the dog Bruce Wayne, by the way.
Oh my god.
And it's literally they created that moment just so they could do the John Wick thing, and somebody could like
Oh no.
grab the dog from him and take it.
Oh no.
And the person who takes the dog from him is the Brain,
Oh my god.
who's a very like little known DC villain. That's just a brain in a jar.
That's awesome.
Who has Monsieur Mala with him, the
Yeah,
gorilla with the
those are
beret.
those are like Doom Patrol villains.
Yeah. So the Brain's whole thing is that he wants a body to put his brain into because he's sick of being a brain in a jar and he wants to like feel and be a person again. And he says in here like have sex. And so Peacemaker thinks that's him because he wants the perfect body, he says. And he goes, no, I don't want you. I want Deathstroke. So if you want to get your dog back, you have
You
to
need
get
to
me a
go get the
DNA
Death.
sample of Deathstroke.
Oh my god.
So
That's
now the book
hilarious.
is going to be him like going after Deathstroke.
That's awesome.
If you like the Peacemaker TV show, you should read this book. It was
That's awesome.
really fun, and I recommend it.
Great. I'm going to check it out.
So, Mike, that was everything I read this week. Where can people find you on the internet?
You can find me at Fortress Ricker on Twitter. Where can they find you and or the show?
You can find me at Fortress Chris on Twitter and the show at Fortress Comics _ on Twitter. Also at FortressComicNews.com. Remember, everybody, give us a 5-star review and podcast of your choice. To like, subscribe, share, comment down below in the YouTube version of this show. And if you want to go the extra mile, it's Patreon at patreon.com/FortressComics. Thank you all so much for watching and or listening this week. And we will see you all here next week.